Hello, GDQx submission staff. I'm Brian Otto, and this is my submission for Titanfall 2 All Helmets at GDQx 2019. All Helmets is a pretty sick category, definitely my favorite in Titanfall 2, despite it being not as popular. All Helmets requires us to acquire all of the pilot helmets, or all the collectibles that are scattered throughout the run in Titanfall 2. If you didn't catch Titanfall 2 at SGDQ 2019 this year, it had a stellar showing there and got a lot of positive feedback. Titanfall 2 is a modified source engine game that is also a sci-fi FPS, and being a modified source engine game means that we have access to a lot of holdovers from source runs, like air strafing and bee hopping, and we're going to see the first of those come into play here.
Alright, we're good to go. Let's see how much you remember from last time. Setting the neural link. Not quite the same as a Titan link, but it's similar.
So right off the bat, we're going to be given our first big movement tech of the game. This is going to be called slide hopping. So when you reach a certain speed threshold and you hold crouch, you'll be given a slide. But if you jump during the beginning of that slide, you can actually maintain your speed indefinitely. You combine that with air strafing, you can actually gain speed. Need an audio cue here. And so air strafing means that you're moving through the air using the left and right keys, or A and D, which subverts the speed cap that's normally in place when you're holding W. So it's pretty sick. Coming up here, I'm going to grab a kind of hidden weapon up at the top here, which I'm going to be using to damage boost myself later. This is your standard tutorial mission, introducing you to all the mechanics in the game. And so the first helmet here is hidden inside the gauntlet. So we're going to grab the frags here, and we can only frag boost like this at this part of the run. We have frag grenades that we're going to let explode in our hand. They're going to launch us down these hallways here. Now I need to make sure that I need like a lot of vertical height for the segment coming up here. Okay, and I didn't quite get what I wanted here, so I'm going to kind of do a little bit of a backup. Okay, that's fine. Pretty sloppy, but that'll work for now. You need a lot of vertical height to be able to get that helmet smoothly. Not quite what I wanted, but it was a decent backup. So a 20-second gauntlet is, it is what it is. So another pretty, all helmets is pretty neat as a category because it used to be this category that was kind of like any percent, but with a couple detours. But in the last year, it's gotten a huge facelift and is now really kind of distinct and as its own thing. It's very distinct from what any percent was. And you'll see that later on, especially in levels like Beacon Chapter 3 or Blood and Rust or Effect and Cause 2. These are levels that are wildly different. I'm gonna go for a little glitch here if I can get BT to land in a certain way. I think I'm a bit late. We'll see if I got it. I think I got it. Where is he? There he is. Nice. If you like stand on top of where you call down the Titan there, for some reason it sends the Titan in at a really, really weird angle.
Sounds like it's about to hit the fan. I'm pulling you out.
And so we're out of the gauntlet. This level's generally pretty reset heavy when I'm doing runs going for a record, but for all intents and purposes, this one was pretty decent. We're going to get a lot of foreshadowing here. We're going to be introduced to a lot of characters that we'll see later on in the run. Excuse me while I get a drink of water.
Good session in there. You'll get the hang of it someday. We'll make a pilot out of you yet.
This category is pretty similar to any percent for the most part of the first two levels, but once we get to Blood and Rust, it really takes off as its own thing.
Anderson, you son of a bitch. See it down there.
That's a bad word, Anderson.
Maybe even die on it.
He dies on it, by the way.
See you down there, Rifleman. Good luck.
There's a nice little menu bug here, by the way, where the menu will choose the top option available for like the first few frames that the menu pops up. And if we mash the select key, we can automatically choose the top option, which is easy. So convenient. We do run this game on the easiest difficulty, as All Helmets doesn't have any difficulty restrictions for collecting all the helmets. There is a master category, but nobody really runs it, as it's very random and generally considered pretty bad. Well, Titanfall 2, we have access to a lot of other movement options as well, and a lot of really interesting parkour movement options too, which we'll get to later. What I love about this game is that when it's played at speed, it looks like kind of like Half-Life meets Mirror's Edge. But also it's got a little bit of Super Mario Sunshine in there too, with this really long intro cutscene at the beginning of the game. We actually have a cutscene that skips all this, or not a cutscene. We have a category that skips all this called Fast 90%, but that's not really well suited for a marathon environment. So some context for what's going on here. We're playing as Rifleman Jack Cooper. He is a soldier, just a run-of-the-mill grunt in the militia, which is the rebellious military force that's fighting back against the IMC, or Interstellar Manufacturing Corporation. They're this big corporate conglomerate that goes from planet to planet across the frontier, and takes all the planet's resources, drives people from their homes, and we're the people that said, you know what, that's enough. So we were going to this planet to figure out what the IMC were doing on it. They had some sort of research facility there, and we found out that they were very well prepared for our assault, and we bit off more than we can chew, so now we've crash landed behind enemy lines. We're gonna get pumped full of some drugs here, and then we'll be on our merry way. So even though we don't have access to any like pilot gear yet, we are able to slide hop here. Like, as far as the story goes, we're not supposed to be able to slide hop, but we can. I'm also gonna go for the first frag boost outside of the gauntlet here. Nice. Oh, that's perfect. If you watch the GDQ run, at SGDQ, you'll remember I missed that boost. I got it that time. That's absolutely perfect. That was really, really good. That saves definitely a good couple seconds there. Frag boosts outside of the gauntlet are generally pretty dangerous, as there is a high risk of death, and you have to be right outside of the grenade's kill radius to get a good boost. This is Captain Lastimosa. This was the guy that was training us before. We don't know why exactly he was training us or what he saw in this, but he's going to give us some more drugs and then go die.
Hostile Titans inbound. Apex predators. Copy that, BT. Mercenaries. Stay down, Cooper.
Chat, what are you guys talking about right now? My Twitch chat is saying the most random stuff. Anyway, this is the infamous 18-hour cutscene, named for the dialogue in the cutscene here, which we'll hear coming up. We're gonna get introduced to all of the enemies that we're gonna be fighting in the game. The IMC hired the Apex Predators, and yes, the same Apex Predators that go on to make the Apex Championship. Respawn did also work on Apex Legends, the company that made this game. We're gonna get to meet all of them here. There's Richter, you got Sloan on the left, you got Blisk on the right. Ash is walking around there in the back. Almost everybody here is gonna die.
We have 18 hours.
There's the dialogue.
18 hours until the Ark is sealed and ready for delivery.
This would certainly be a good time for a donation.
Leave the corpses alone, you sick bastard. We've got a job to do, eh? We make corpses, we don't clean them up. Let's go.
I'm playing at the max FOV, and that will allow us to see some pretty silly things. If you watch the right side of the screen here, this Prowler is going to kind of like slide in on the right. There he is. Fortunately, Lastimosa and BT, his Titan, BT, wake up here and are able to save us from a gruesome death. If you look at that little body going down the river as well, that's always a fun little thing. It just disappears. It's already gone. So we're going to come down here, and Lastimosa is going to give us this Titan. What's happening here in the context of the Titanfall universe is pretty huge. Pilots are this really, really elite infantry unit. They're the best of the best. And Lastimosa is transferring control of his Titan to Cooper, which is a huge deal. This would like never happen in the Titanfall universe.
Take my Titan. Use my helmet.
So aside from slide hopping and air strafing, we also have access to a double jump and a bunch of different mechanics on when we touch walls. And so the most important one that you're going to be seeing alongside slide hopping is going to be called a wall kick. So a wall kick occurs when you jump from a wall within 5 ticks or less. Titanfall 2 runs at a native 60 ticks per second. So if we jump off a wall within 5 ticks or less, we'll be getting a speed boost and a incrementally faster speed boost, depending on how much faster we do the jump from the wall. So we're going to grab the helmet here and the run is going to really take off. I'm going to jump backwards and grab a wall behind me. That's going to skip having to wait for the game to give me a sprint. This segment is really punishing because there's a lot of really weird geometry here, and we only have one jump. So we can cover a lot of mistakes in this game with a double jump normally, but we're not going to be able to do that. Here's the first helmet of the game. It's really simple. Helmet get. Yeah, so all these rocks are going to have their own little geometry and their own, they're going to slow us down if we hit them. This is a little strafe-induced shortcut there. Pretty neat. And normally you can't grab onto a wall after you jump off of it, but if the wall is curved like this, you can just re-grab it like that, and that allows us to skip this room pretty handily. Very tough segment coming up here that I already kind of messed up. That's okay, though. This is called Death River. New runners have a hell of a time getting through this area. Plant strat! Whenever you jump off that plant, you have to say plant strat, otherwise your run gets invalidated. Here's the re-grab on the wall again. We have access to our double jump coming up again soon. Hopefully I can... There we go. I'm hitting some weird geometry as you're seeing there, but fortunately we're getting it back. Gonna pop this guy in the face so he gets out of my way, and now we have our double jump. There's a wall kick again right there. This is the first wall kick heavy segment right here. Gotta get around that barrel boss. And if I can hit this slide at the right angle, I'll go straight through. Nice. Not as easy as it looks. And so BT is a Titan that runs on batteries, so we have to collect 2 batteries to bring back to him. And we're going to see another movement tech coming up here called a slant boost. So when you initiate a slide boost on a really sharply angled surface, you'll get like a pretty big speed boost just due to the way collision works in this game. And we're going to use that to carry us across the river here. Nice. And we have to clear out those grunts to be able to install the battery, and so that worked out really well. Coming up next here is the first kind of big skip. Not really a skip, but we're going to be doing a unattended jump to cross this river. That's going to save us about 8 seconds of gameplay. Called River Jump, found by S Deception. And here comes the second frag boost outside of the gauntlet. This one's called Josh Frag, found by Josh04. Didn't really get a good frag boost. That's okay. I still cleared the gap. This is one of the toughest segments in the game here, and I also need to get grenades from one of these grunts. So far, so good. Nice. Just have to hit this last wall kick. Perfect. Get a little slide here. Off the ledge. I lost some speed there. I hit the ledge at kind of a weird angle, but that's okay. Ravine is really tough because it's a bunch of wall kicks in like rapid fire succession, and so it's hitting it like that's pretty nice. Last attempt to get grenades. I didn't get grenades. Okay, so I need to hit for this last helmet in this level requires a very specific slant boost, like what you saw before we installed the first battery. And so I'm going to have to get a very specific slant boost. And there's an invisible wall that's going to be in place. And I have to hit the invisible wall at the right angle to not lose a lot of time. So, long story short, this helmet in particular is very, very hard. Normally I want a third grenade here so I can go for a backup. But I don't have it. Okay, so I didn't get the slant boost I wanted. And I would normally use a frag boost here, but because I didn't get a third grenade, I have to just go on my way. So this could have been a lot worse. Getting it like that is fine. Now this is why I needed the 2 frags, was to clear out these guys here. Nicely done.
Those drones are IMC scouts. We must complete the neural link.
Shout outs to Over Zero for that strat. Those both of those frags are very precise, and it's nice hitting them like that. So there's a little bit of RNG in this run in this level with the frags, but overall it went pretty okay. So this is BT. He's going to be our Titan for the rest of the game. BT is a special class of Titan, a Vanguard class, which means we can swap between different Titan loadouts that we'll pick up through the course of the run. And you can think of Titan loadouts like heroes from Apex Legends or a MOBA or Overwatch or something. They're going to have different abilities and different strengths and weaknesses. This first one's going to be pretty simple, and I'll explain it as we go.
Link established. Rifleman Jack Cooper, you are now confirmed as acting pilot.
There's a lot of inspiration in this game from a 2009 sci-fi film called District 9, and we're going to see that in play here.
Our orders are to resume special
We're going to have access to a vortex shield,
rendezvous with Major Anderson.
which is going to capture enemy bullets and shoot them back at them.
I'm detecting incoming enemy forces.
And if we catch hit scan bullets, or bullets that don't have any travel time after they're fired, it actually does splash damage when you throw them back. There's not a lot of RNG in Titanfall 2, but this segment in particular is very, very random, just due to the way that the Vortex Shield functions. A fun fact here was actually that Vortex Shield got nerfed in multiplayer a little over a year ago. And the nerf actually really severely affected the speedrun, especially this part in particular. And the devs actually reverted the nerf on single player on easy mode only, because that's what we run. That's what we run Titanfall on, and actually ended up saving us a lot of headache. And it's one of the reasons that current patch is the fastest. So this overall didn't go too bad. There's a lot of weird randomness that can happen here, but that was pretty average, I would say. So we're good to go. We have our first quote-unquote boss fight coming up.
Sure about this?
Yes, trust me.
Gotta draw a little smiley face. So this boss fight, we're gonna drop down our electric smoke, which is gonna do damage over time, and then we're gonna shoot at this Titan until he puts up his vortex shield, and then while he has the vortex shield up, we charge our missile launcher, and that's it. We usually want to shoot him in the crit spot in the middle, which will do increased damage around the cockpit. This will be the glowing red thing you see on other Titans, but we didn't quite get it there. Waiting for an audio cue here.
Our only chance of survival is to uphold our mission of rendezvousing with Major Anderson. Until then, you and I are on our own. Marking your HUD.
There we go. If we go any farther than that before BT says marking your HUD, he'll put the waypoint on the other side of the map, and it's quite a bit slower. And so now we're on to the first level that really makes All Helmets is what it is today. I love running this level. It's super sick in this category. This is where the run really starts to depart from what any percent is. There are 6 helmets scattered around this level. I believe 6 of the 46 total that we collect through the run. This first segment is largely Titan movement, and Titan movement can be pretty simply explained. We want to always have a dash charging. We don't want to be wasting any time with 2 dashes charged and we're not using them. We want to be dashing around corners because BT's kind of heavy and he'll throw his weight around, so we want to cancel that with the dash. And we also want to dash when we go off ledges. And when I go off ledges, I'm going to hold crouch because that actually physically retracts BT's legs and it allows me to do things like slide over that tone right there. Alright, and here comes the first helmet of the category here. If I press jump during a certain time while disembarking from BT, I'll get a disembark jump, which will launch me up in the air like that. Helmet get. Come on, there we go. Alright, so now the second helmet comes up very shortly after this. This one went through a huge reroute recently and it's pretty neat. I'm gonna do another disembark jump here. Got it. Now I need to gain a bunch of height on these surfaces here so I can get up to this helmet. And I'm not sure what happened there, but I lost my double jump, so I wasn't able to get the route like I wanted. That's okay, though. Easy backup. Not quite sure what happened there, but I've never really seen that. So now this run's going to get pretty intense. I'm going to be using a lot of what's called tap strafing in this run. Let me get an audio key real quick. Tap strafing is a recent movement tech that's really revolutionized the run, both NA% and all helmets. So tap strafing occurs when I rapidly tap W or forward while doing a strafe. The air acceleration in Titanfall is normally pretty low, so we have to do these long, wide strafes, but tap strafing allows us to do very quickly sharp-angled strafes to get around corners very, very quickly. We didn't really know about this until a few months ago. I messed that up too. Dude, I just did that earlier in a run. That's fine. I'm going to go for the second frag boost in this category here. You know what? This is funny. I did a practice run earlier today and this exact same thing happened. Like literally, like step for step. There we go. There's the frag boost. I'm going to take a little back up here. So here comes the third helmet. This one's one of my favorites. The route for it's really cool. I'm going to take a single jump here and then I'm going to tap strafe to get into this hallway quickly and then tap strafe again to get around that corner. Another tap strafe here. You'll see, so normally tap strafes or strafing in this game aren't going to be these really sharp, jagged angles, but tap strafing allows us to take those. Get a wall run on the inside of this door here. And I have to wait until I get past this little ledge here, otherwise I'll bonk my head. This helmet is pretty tricky because this pipe here has like a very finicky angle, as you can see. I got super caught up on that. I wanted to run off the edge of the wall right there because in this game, when you run off the edge of a wall, it'll actually give you a small speed boost if you jump at the very final frames of that when as you're going onto the wall. We call that an edge boost. Now this helmet is one of the most difficult in the entire game, just due to the rapid jump routing here and trying to do this optimally is really hard. And now we're going to pick up my favorite gun, the EPG, which we're actually going to use to boost us. So now we have rocket boosting. And we don't, so this is very different from any percent. We never grab the EPG in any percent. And EPG boosting is what makes this category for me. It makes it super, super sick. We have to be really careful in EPG boosting though, because if we don't space out our boosts, we have to manage our health. And the EPG boost will kill us if we're not careful. I'm going to boost and then immediately cloak so I don't die to one of the grunts here. Nice, and so this is a pretty big sequence break. Oh, I don't know why, I'm not sure why I double jumped like that. Normally you have to do this big wave fight here, but if we just jump across over here, we can get straight to BT. We have to manipulate his dialogue so he stays in that place too. And that's called sledge skip. It's not super difficult, but it is a super important trick to the run and saves minutes over the casual playthrough. That was a really, really good backup. So I've actually made quite a few mistakes in this run, but ultimately I think I've been adapting to them pretty well. So aside from maybe the frag boost thing. So now we picked up Tone. And so Tone, whenever Tone shoots an enemy, it gains a partial missile lock. Once you get 3 partial missile locks, you can launch a missile barrage. But you can actually stack the missile locks on multiple Titans. So you can use 2 missile barrages to kill 1 Titan, which we're going to see here. This is Kane, by the way. He's dumb. We're going to kill him pretty fast. Don't worry about it. There's the 2 missile barrages. Now we're going to go 1, 2, 3. Now I did what's called a swap reload. So with some Titans, it's actually faster to reload them by swapping to another Titan, and then swapping back to the one you were using. And with Tone, it's about 3/4 of a second faster. That's Kane fight. He's donezo. Not the best blunder rust ever, but ultimately we adapted to adversity really well.
Kane's helmet radio is still intact. We should retrieve it.
So we're gonna grab Kane's helmet here, use his earpiece here to listen in on some enemy comms. And we have quite a bit of waiting to do here, so now would be a great time for donations. Assuming they were, you know, Brolix was here.
Copy. Got myself 3 captured militia. What should I do with them?
Just kill him.
I'm on my way. Slow now.
The ability to decrypt enemy communications has a strong history in warfare. This will work to our advantage. In order to survive, we must keep moving.
And so now we're on to the first mission that is split into 3 chapters. This will be Into the Abyss Chapter 1. This is another level that is wildly different from its any percent counterpart. We get to see a lot of EPG boosting here. EPG boosting really made this level super interesting, and it really jacked up the skill ceiling on it too.
Major Anderson went
So we're gonna hop in BT here.
Shortcut to the rendezvous point. I recommend we proceed. Watch our step.
And these first 2 helmets are gonna be in this wide area right here. So I'm gonna dash over here, and then I have to disembark at a certain spot so I can get a nice little slide over here. Nice. And here comes the EPG boosting. And this is all about health management. I have to really carefully manage my health here. I don't want to mess up my health pool. I think I missed the wall, so I'm going to play that a little bit safe. There we go. The routing there is very interesting too, because normally when you touch the ground and get a slide boost, you can't slide again instantly. So I get a slide hop off of a surface there, and then I purposely don't slide again. I just do a regular bunny hop, which is kind of like a slide hop from a standing position. And there's something in this game called the slide boost timer, where you won't be able to like get a slide boost after sliding briefly, and so we have to route around that. So we're kind of in this assembly line here, and we're going to be able to abuse that in a sec. We'll be able to, the assembly line right now is trigger based, so we can like kind of get ahead of the assembly line and allow it to boost us. But first, we're going to be getting the 3rd helmet of the game, for this level, which is right here. Got a nice disembark jump up here. I've been nailing those disembark jumps. There's a little bit of RNG in how BT moves here. He didn't move too far down the hallway and is fortunately facing the direction we want to go.
Pilot control initiated.
So now, at this section here, I'm going to wait for this platform, and then I'm going to purposely hold my dashes to try and boost ahead of the assembly line here. Okay, this is pretty sketchy, so I'm going to have to disembark jump, or disembark to save myself. BT's running away. This is pretty unlucky. If I don't disembark there, I die, so not quite what I wanted, but that's okay. Now I'm going to switch to Scorch, and Scorch does a ton of AoE DPS, both up close and in an area of effect. So we're going to use that to clear out this door here, clear out this area here, which allows this door to open. And the final helmet is actually down here. We're going to see another neat little thing as far as the routing goes here. So I'm going to tap straight this corner. And didn't want to knock that wall, but that's okay. Now, after you collect a helmet, if you reload checkpoint, you actually keep the helmet collection intact. So I can reload checkpoint, and then I'm instantly back up at the top. And this is significantly faster than climbing all the way back up. Messed up the route there a little bit, that's okay. Another tap strafe here. And here's a fun little thing. If you touch this button, it actually removes the kill floor down at the bottom here, and it allows you to fall all the way down. This saves about 2 seconds over waiting for the platform to descend all the way down. Now we're on to Abyss Chapter 2, and despite this level being a very unfortunate auto-scroller, this actually still differs quite a bit from any percent. It's really too bad that this level is an auto-scroller because this level's really cool. You're in like the thick of the assembly line here, and there's a lot of really cool movement you can do, but really it only comes down to 2 different segments that both occur at the end of the run. Or at the end of the level, I should say. So we got the first helmet. Now we'll come down here. And we're going to swap out the Eva for the Spitfire. This is like the best place to grab the Spitfire, which is going to be a really important weapon to us later on, just due to its really large magazine and high rate of fire. They'll be grabbing the Eva later. So there's a pretty cool swag strat I can go for here called Swaganos, and it actually does benefit us in this category, unlike any percent, so we'll see if we can get it.
This facility was built to kill. I'm sure I can take advantage of that fact if I have.
The launch looks okay. I got mantled there, that's fine. That doesn't lose us any time because it is an auto-scroller. So normally we would go along the right side of the map here and just kind of skip all of this, but we actually have helmets, or a helmet that is in the middle of this assembly line here, so we're going to have to do this very old ancient skip called the crane skip to get over to the helmet. We didn't used to know that this level was an auto-scroller, and that skip was like critical in getting a good time. I spent way too many hours dying there. It's kind of interesting this level too. The end level trigger for Into the Abyss 2 is actually present as soon as you load in, but it's very high. It's like really way up in the air. It's like out of bounds, and then it's out of bounds again. So getting to it is as far as we can tell, it's impossible at the moment. I'm gonna go for another cool platform launch here. Nice. That's another like old strat that you only get to see in this category. So here's the second helmet. Helmet get. And then we'll get to do another cool little kind of swag strat almost right here. We'll use the momentum from this platform to boost off. Falcon kick! There we go! I love kicking that guy, man. It's so fun. I call that swag strat the Falcon kick, so it's fun. There's a lot of, like, as you can see with this level, there's a lot of really fun things you can do. But unfortunately, none of that stuff really matters because we're tied to the speed of the assembly line here, so we have to wait for this thing to get in position and before we can get on it and right out of here. So I'm gonna hop over to the other side here. And I'm just making sure that I'm clearing out some of these enemies so they don't throw any grenades that can really interfere with me getting on here. So I'm going to stand right here. And this is going to be, this is a very, well, a pretty specific setup for a launch that we have coming up later on. Cool, looks like I'm in the right spot. So in Titanfall 2, as you saw before, you gain momentum when you jump off a moving surface, and that also happens when the surface is moving up or down. So this crane arm mirror is going to rotate upwards like that, and we're going to jump off it at a very specific time, and that's going to allow us to launch up to the top of this area, or the staging area. It's going to skip a significant amount of gameplay. It's a really cool strat found by our resident glitch lord Taskinos, who was on the couch for SGDQ 2019. And he's found a lot of really important things for this game. The third and final helmet will be shortly following dome launch. Excuse me.
I see you, pilot. I admire your perseverance. If only the IMC infantry were...
So here we go.
There is only one way out, pilot.
That looks good.
The dome is...
Got it. Perfect. Dome launch. So now the third helmet is down here. And fortunately, as soon as we touch like one of the platforms here, the trigger for the next segment starts, so we don't have to worry about that. So this last helmet's kind of tucked away over here. And a pretty cool skip coming up here in Dome Skip. So this is the first and one of only 2 out-of-bounds skips in the entire game. And it's really, really cool. So we actually used to do the skip a slower way. Just like some random YouTuber found it when the game first came out. And then a developer saw this and told us, a developer saw our SGDQ submission for 2017 and said, hey, I built this level, and just so you know, there's a different way to do this skip. So we found out this hole in the, or this wall right here doesn't have any collision, and you can just walk right through it. It is pretty darn neat. Respawn were really communicative with us during the first year or so of speedrunning this game, and did a lot of things to fix crashes and help us run the game faster, so it's pretty sick. So now once the screen goes black here, we're going to get teleported to an alternate geo. And we'll be teleported conveniently right on top of the end level trigger.
Now, we shall see how impressive you...
There we go. And so now we're on to Into the Abyss Chapter 3. And Abyss Chapter 3 is scary. This is a very scary level, both in 90% and all helmets. This is going to be the final place where we're going to use the EPG, unfortunately. I'll explain why later. Very tight movement through these caverns here. There's a lot of geometry that wants to get in our way. So I'm going to press this button and then get into a position. I'm going to time my EPG boost to 3 to get above this platforming segment as quickly as possible. Grab the helmet, and I'm going to set up for the next segment already here. I did something called an end boost there, where the game you can only run on the wall for a finite amount of time. And if you jump off the wall during the time when the game is pushing you off it, you'll get a speed boost, similar to an edge boost, but not quite the same. Now I'm going to grab this wall and use the momentum to launch me down here. And I can then grab the second helmet with it. Oh, that was very clean. Very, very good. Shoutouts to S-Deception for that route through the little cave there too. That was really cool. Alright, and now we're off. I want to try and keep my shield down here because if I get punched by this Titan with my shield down, it'll actually give me a speed boost. He didn't punch me, that's okay. And so now we have the second and last out-of-bounds segment in the game coming up here. This is called Ash Skip. You might have heard some robot lady talking to us over the course of this level. We're going to skip her fight, fortunately, because her fight is really, really random. So if I hold crouch, I can get up on top of this pipe. And when I disembark here, the game is going to put BT and Jack in the only other place where they can both stand up, which just happens to be out of bounds, very conveniently. And if I dash up here at the right angle, I can actually skip having to hover. I just got so trolled. Okay, I had hoverless and then the game pushed me off. I can actually skip having to hover, but I didn't quite get it. And the reason I take such a roundabout path here is because the trigger for Ash Fight is very, very large, and I have to run across that razor's edge to get it. Now I'm going to do another disembark clip through the wall here. And we have effectively skipped Ash. You're pretty home free once you get to this segment. And now we are out of the Abyss, fortunately. A very tough segment into the Abyss. That's where good runs go to die. So now we're on to Effect and Cause, and unfortunately, I'm not really sure why, but the game takes away your EPG once you get to this level, which is really too bad. We've tried to find different ways to get the EPG into this level, but I just don't think there's like, I don't think it's written into the level as far as the code goes, so the game just replaces it, which is really it's really too bad, but what are you gonna do? As you can see, we have this stinky little pistol now. So this level, if you played this game casually, is going to be the one you told all your friends about. This level casually was amazing, and so you've probably heard BT talking about how we need to rendezvous with Major Anderson, yada yada. This is the rendezvous point. You can already tell that like something is amiss here. Time is swapping back and forth sporadically. We actually have some pretty cool routing design around that too, which we'll see later on. This route down here is really, really tough. I have to wall kick. I have to get some really good wall kicks to generate enough speed to do this. And I actually did not go super fast here, but it wasn't slow enough to where I had to alter the route, so it works. So speaking of Anderson, we found him. He is somehow paradoxically stuck in the floor, even though in both timelines the floor would have been there, but he's stuck in there. And so this does not count as a helmet collection, but a helmet get in chat is acceptable. Anderson's helmet has a lot of data in it, and BT is going to scan it to deliver us some plot.
I will analyze it. With the death of Anderson, command of Special Operation 217.
And so, despite us having a lot of time to kind of wait around for some dialogue here, these helmets are in like two really obvious and easy to obtain locations. I always kind of wish on this level that Respawn like put them in more interesting locations that may have required like some cool, I don't know, platforming or something, but unfortunately those are the only two helmets for the level. So we're just gonna get up here, and we have time for probably a couple donations. How's it going, Covro? Good to see you, dude. Alright, so we have some pretty cool stuff coming up here. So, BT is going to take this lamppost and like chuck it up there to establish a zipline for us. We're going to jump early and grab the zipline right as the hitbox for it appears, which is pretty neat. But after that, we have one of my favorite tricks in the game coming up. That's called FTL. We can't control the time swaps yet, but we can be in a certain position when time does swap. So in the alternate timeline, I'm going to be in the position where a laser grid is in the other timeline. And so I'm going to stand in the exact location of that laser grid. And I'm going to be standing in the just the right angle for it to boost me out at a very specific angle. And so the laser grid is going to... The game's basically going to get really mad that I'm inside this laser grid, and it's going to shoot me out really, really quickly, which I'm going to use to get across that bridge in there. And inside that bridge, there are a bunch of scripted time swaps. And if I go too slow, I won't clear the time swap. So it's really, really important that I go fast. It's called FTL because we're using light to go faster than time? I don't know. I'm not a creative strat namer, so. Alright, here we go. Okay, that's fine. I'm going to load my quick save. Do this again. That looks good. Perfect. Dude, second try FTL is sick. I'll take second try FTL any day of the week. So that is faster than light, one of my favorite tricks in the game. Alright, and here we go. This is Effect and Cause Chapter 2. So this level is a monster in any percent, and it is even harder in all helmets. There are a couple segments of this level that are just like mind-numbingly hard. So we found the other half of Anderson now, and we have access to his wrist-mounted device, which allows us to swap through time at will, and delivers us the greatest tooltip of all time, which is press button to time travel. So this level is really, really pretty to watch, as we have different routes for different timelines, and it looks really, really cool. And on top of that, we have 6 helmets to collect, so 3 of them are all located in one giant room as well. There's another tap strafe right there. The first one will be right after this segment here. I'm going to do another tap strafe around this corner. And anytime an enemy has a scripted walk through a door, we can go right through them. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can't believe it didn't grab the helmet. Alright, so that reminds me, something I wanted to talk about. Helmet hitboxes in this game are very specific, unless you're passing over the top of them. So Cooper's legs extend pretty far down beneath him. So if you're standing in the air when you pass over a helmet, you'll normally grab it even though you're way above it. But at any other angle, you have to be like directly inside the helmet to pick it up. Helmet collection hitboxes are very frustrating, and you saw them at play there. Here comes the second helmet here. So what I want to do is grab the helmet and then generate enough speed so I meet the minimum speed threshold to do a slide boost at the bottom here, which I didn't get the angle I wanted. I can generate speed with a strafe as I'm going down, which will allow me to kind of like do a slide boost as soon as I get in here, and it prevents me from having to run on that wall. But otherwise, that's okay. Anderson's data log is telling us a lot of plot of the game, which I'll explain later. But for now, I'm going to get into position for a very specific frag boost. And after this frag boost comes one of the toughest sections of the speedrun period in any category. Everything after this frag boost is nuts.
This one's empty. The arc must be somewhere else. Anderson out.
So I'm going to want to get on top of this little platform here, slide off it, swap, grab the helmet. That's fine. The mantle's fine. I don't think it's gonna give me a slide boost now though. No, it did. Okay. Here comes another tap strafe. That looks good. Uh-oh. No mantle there. That's good. Okay. Printer hop right here. I'm gonna crouch off. I need a lot of height for this. That was godlike. That wall kick? Oh, I'm popping off. That wall kick was so hard. I can't believe I hit that. The time swap into instant wall kick, I've never done it like that before. Wow. That was really, really good. Dang, dude. Okay. Anyway, normally when I do that late time swap like that, that wall kick becomes a lot harder because you don't have a lean in animation to kind of help you time the wall kick. And so I basically just did that wall kick blind more or less, and that's really cool. Anyway, as far as like a marathon run goes, or a no reset run, that went about as well as it could. I'm very, very satisfied with that. That was an excellent effect and cause too. Alright, so now we're on to Effect and Cause Chapter 3, and there aren't any helmets on this chapter, but we do get to do some pretty cool things. So, Effect and Cause is constructed in a really cool way where when you're swapping time, you're actually swapping between 2 different levels. One of them's way up in the sky, and one of them's way down below. And you can actually trick the game into thinking that you've swapped time when you haven't, by initiating an animation before a time swap. Whoops, so here we go. So now I've tricked the game as to which timeline I'm in. I'm going to go for a super ridiculous strat. We'll see if I can get it. Okay. Oh, and I got the frag boost too! Let's see if I got this here. Yes! Oh, that was awesome. Okay, so I confused the game as to which timeline I was in, which allowed me to swap through time when I was like, and it put me way up in the air, but it tracked my horizontal position. And from there, I was able to go and hit a trigger, the end level trigger, out of order, and then okay, let me rephrase that. Sorry, that was really, really good. So I'm like feeling myself again. Okay, so this trick is so hard to explain. All right. So I got time stop, and when I hit the laser grid, I swapped time immediately. And so that put me way up in the air, but it tracked my horizontal position. I then hit the final trigger to initiate the next part of the game, but then I went back and hit the trigger before it, so I hit the triggers out of order. And that's actually faster than hitting him in order, and the frag boost just really solidifies the speed there. So that was really cool.
Scan complete. As Anderson discovered, IMC intend to destroy
I don't know how to react like commentary wise when like I perform really well. I'll have to get used to that.
Far from over. We must get this data to the fleet.
Alright, so that was an excellent Effect and Cause Chapter 3. Just a really good Effect and Cause in general, aside from the second try FTL. And now we're on to one of the most iconic segments of the speedrun. Maybe not this level in particular, but later on for sure. We have the Beacon.
Anderson is dead.
This mission is really annoying because all the rocks and geometry that you're seeing here are just a suggestion. They don't actually match the geometry. So navigating through here is really difficult. And even if I get this clean, just know that I've messed it up tons of times before.
Pilot, I see.
So this is a pretty cool dialogue skip here. This was found by Tronja Volta. So we found out that
Scans detect minimal power.
if you come down here and clear out all these enemies quickly, and emphasis on quickly because you have to do this really fast, and then go back to BT, you'll actually skip a ton of dialogue that BT has with the militia that are trapped inside that little hub base there. And if you watch the run at GDQ 2017, you'll remember we didn't have a consistent way to do this, so this was found pretty recently after that, and it's really nice. It saves upwards of 45 seconds.
Threat neutralized. Well done.
So now I'm going to wait a little bit here. Did I get a good checkpoint?
Efficiency rating.
Good checkpoint, cool. So if I get a good checkpoint there, I can embark on BT instantly and not risk not risk losing a bunch of time to the game crashing. Now we're going to pick up Ronin, which will be a super important Titan later on. Now the dialogue's all skipping. Good timing with the blast doors. Alright, and now we're out. Very good Beacon 1 so far. Cool.
I recommend we help eliminate these stalkers and then make direct.
So this is Captain Cole. He's going to repeat a bunch of things BT says and be generally redundant, but we're not going to worry about him. We're going to move on to the Beacon Chapter 2 after this.
Function.
Unfortunately,
Power up to 5 megajoules.
we can't do kill room skip in this category because there's a helmet that we need in the room that we skip. So it does make while other parts of the game are a lot harder than 90%, this level in particular is a tad bit easier because we don't have the difficulty of kill room skip.
This facility substation. You must recover the arc tool.
However, kill room does look pretty cool when you do it with frag grenades, which we'll see here. And I specifically kept frag grenades for a pretty cool strat at the end of Beacon 2. This level is one of my favorites to run. It has a really nice flow to it and is also just really pretty. And even though we don't get to do kill room skip, we do get to see some of the old routing here. Alright. Whoops. Can't believe I just did that. This is one of the most competitive ILs in the game too. Cash Mayo and I have been going back and forth on it for a long time. Definitely one of the most optimized levels as well. So I'm going to come around here, and at the end of this hallway I'm going to be grabbing the softball, which is a grenade launcher that I'm going to be using to boost myself. But before that, gotta get the helmet right here. Throw a frag there, drop a frag there, kill this guy, clean up any guys that live, and there we go. So I have to kill a certain number of enemies for this door to open, and that was all the ones I needed to clear. So here comes the softball into play, and the padding here is really sick with the wall kicks. I love that strat. You clear the, so the impact of the grenade clears the drone, but the grenade doesn't blow up. So by the time you pass through where the drone was, the grenade explodes behind you, which is awesome. Now I'm going to use a strafing, downward strafing to, I'm going to use strafing while descending to generate enough speed to give me a slide boost there. And here is the arc tool. This is the big shooty zappy gun. It's kind of the gimmick for this level. There's another tap strafe. Now here's the last helmet up here. This one can be pretty tricky, but if I can grab this wall at the right angle, I can just run straight across it and get the helmet collection. one of the more generous helmet collection hitboxes there. Now here comes heatsink skip, and I'm going to be doing it with a frag boost. Beautiful, perfect. That skips a movement puzzle in that room there, which I run into that room to hit a trigger, so I don't soft lock, and that is really, really sick, hitting it like that. Now, this fan is pushing us down this hallway, and I'm actually going to convert all the speed into like a single wall kick, which should boost me across this last fan section. Did I get it? Oh, so close, so close. Normally, so I can do a second wall kick on that other fan, but I really wanted to go fast there, and normally if you do single wall kick fast fans, it is very fast. I don't mind losing time because I'm going for the cool stuff in a marathon run, though. You know, that's what GDQs are all about, showing off the cool stuff in your game. And so that was a pretty decent Beacon Chapter 2 all the way around. Very satisfied with that. And so now we'll move on to the Beacon Chapter 3. And this level is a monster, dude.
Good work, Pilot Cooper.
Definitely the most iconic level in the speedrun. And we can't do super fastball in this category, but we can do super curveball. And you'll see that in a sec. Does it sound like I'm smiling? Because I am smiling. I love the name for that strat. Alright, so for this segment though, we just have to come down here and reactivate power with our big shooty zap again. They're going to spend a lot of time talking about how this room is really dangerous and deadly, but really it won't kill us. It actually can't, so.
I suggest you move quickly.
I wouldn't stay in there too long unless you want to be burnt.
I wish I had Prolix reading donations for me right now.
Okay, opening the hatch in 3, 2, 1, go!
Power at 100%. I recommend you exit the chamber immediately.
Great job, Cooper. The power is back.
My moderator doesn't even know what command I have to tell when GDQx is. Type exclamation GDQ, Tron. Or GDQx, rather. SMH, Tron.
Targeting reset.
60%, 70%, 80%, 90%.
Warning, full emergency shutdown.
Great. What's going on? Talk to me.
Not sure, some sort of failsafe.
Captain, the uplink targeting module is offline.
Not good. I got the IMC on their way.
That is a reasonable assumption.
McCord, can we bypass the
Direct hit.
Sir,
Heck yeah.
not unless we want to send a message to the entire IMC fleet.
Then the module's gonna have to repair manually.
So coming up here we have one of the, this is the most iconic part of the run.
I hope you're
And it's all because of this really cool glitch that was found by Taskanos. So, generally, so there's a couple Titans that have the ability to fly in this game, or rather to hover. And when you hover, you're not supposed to be able to disembark. But if you kind of like wedge yourself in a corner, or get in a certain angle, you can disembark while flying. And when you do that, that's actually going to reduce your player gravity by 15%, roughly.
Memory recalls this pilot as an
Which we'll do right here. And so now, it's going to give us the appearance, when we jump, we're going to be very floaty like we're on the moon. Hence the name Moon Boots. So I'm going to come grab these two helmets here. These ones are pretty easy to get. I'm only on like a small clock, so don't have to be in too big of a rush. And so, you probably remember Super Fastball from other versions of this run. But we have 3 helmets that we need to collect on the way there. So, this is easily the hardest part of the run. I can't stress how difficult this segment is. I'm definitely going to set up a safety save. This is Super Curveball. Please enjoy.
Projectile mass, 89 kilograms. Trust me.
I don't know how I missed the trigger there. That's fine. Oh, let's go, dude. Hell yeah, man. I can't believe I hit that like that. Okay, so there are a lot of different ways you can hit that strat. Hitting it like that is so hard. I am super proud of myself for hitting that. Even though I missed the trigger, that's not too bad. I have strats for that. So I missed a trigger that I'm gonna basically end up hitting on the way back. It's totally okay though, it's only going to cost us a little bit of time. So we're going to pick up gravity stars here. And gravity stars are these shurikens that create a gravity well, and when they explode, we give a huge damage boost. So we got the next helmet. Now we're going to come down here and grab our next objective. And now is another very difficult segment in the game. This is a very precise gravity star boost. Nice, there we go. Now I have to hit a bunch of wall kicks back to back. Oh, let's go, dude. I got it. All right, here we go. Now the next difficult segment. We have another gravity star boost coming up. Okay, that's fine. I didn't get a perfect boost off it, but this should be enough to clear the gap. Yeah, it is. Cool. Okay, so all this dialogue that you're hearing now was supposed to be playing while I was flying through the air, but I missed the trigger for it. So BT's going to get caught up on some of this dialogue here, which is going to cost me time. But normally there are 2 more helmets I need to collect in this segment, and normally I would abandon this fight early. So I would leave a few enemies left for BT to clear while I was grabbing helmets. But because the dialogue is playing, I'm actually going to stay down here for the entirety of the fight, and then I will climb up after that. So this will only lose me a little bit of time. It won't be too bad.
Come in, Kilo 1-4. Alpha 1-4. We are
I'm not sure where that guy is.
ETA 3 minutes.
Reaper down.
So one thing I'm doing here, this is called spawn manipulation. Enemies are going to be spawning based on where I'm looking, and you're going to see that coming back.
Uplink module acquired.
You're going to see that coming back again and again in the run. The spawn manipulation.
Not responding. Prepare to engage the target at beacon 4.
Stalker down.
Zulu 1-6 to Richter. The pilot's intentions are unknown. He may be attempting to draw
Is that all of
away
them?
from the Titan.
That damn pilot is trying to use the beacon.
I'm not sure they. Okay, I'm going to start climbing. There we go.
Caution. Entering maintenance mode.
Copy that. Position at beacon 4 gantry. Standing by to intercept.
So now we're going to see BT interrupted by the dialogue here, unfortunately.
Other plans for the Titan. All security.
Here's the last 2 helmets. Here's the first one here.
Get to the beacon now. Find the clan of Mann and lass mich nicht hängen.
All threats eliminated. Area secure.
Copy that.
So you can see BT's getting interrupted by these guys.
Get soldiers on ground. Move it.
Are you okay, pilot?
So this thing won't descend until the dialogue option disappears. This should have been cleared right when I got up here, but it's only a little bit late. So this could have been a lot worse. Missing the trigger isn't the end of the world, but it probably costs around 15 to 20 seconds.
The socket for the module is at the
Anyway,
top.
I just want to say I am like super proud of myself for that. I've been doing a lot of practice runs before I recorded this submission, and just messing up that segment over and over and over again. So hitting it like I did in a run like this, or in a no reset run like this, is very gives a lot of confidence, to say the least.
Got you.
So now coming back here, we're going to switch to Ronin. And we usually switch to Ronin for a lot of movement segments because Ronin is just the fastest due to the fact that it has a phase dash, which is basically a third dash for us. We're going to use it here. And coming up here is Richter Fight, and Richter Fight is going to be based entirely around spawn manipulation. We're going to see that right at the beginning here. I'm going to use my electricity wave or my arc wave here and line it up on these 2 Reapers when they spawn in. And we're going to force the next set of Reapers to spawn here.
We will assist from here.
Now, I generally want... Yes, okay, this was... Oh, beautiful. Okay, so I purposely dash to the left of that Reaper in an effort to make him dash to the right. And if he gets next to that Reaper on the side, I can actually kill both of them with 1 missile barrage. That is a huge time save. That's like 3 or 4 seconds right there. It's really, really good.
Which one you wish to be, or jetzt mach it fertig.
Now I noticed that this guy up here didn't pop his shield. There we go, that's fine. Good, okay. That could have been faster, but it's okay. Yes, AJ Mac, I am timing it. I'll reveal my splits at the end of the run. So this is Richter. This is the most infuriating cutscene of all time. He's just going to get out of his Titan right in front of us, and we won't be able to do anything about it. He is completely invincible during this cutscene. It sucks. It's really, really infuriating. But if we do enough DPS to him in a short amount of time and stay close to his Titan, he'll self-destruct, which is pretty darn fast. Cool. Alright, and that is effectively the end of the Beacon Chapter 3. As we have a lot of dialogue to wait through now. So I'll just have some fun with this.
Transmission power 25% is climbing. 60%.
And this would be a great time for donations while I slide around on top of BT's head here.
At maximum power. We are a go for transmission.
Broadcasting data stream. Awaiting response.
Here's hoping
Hi,
someone's
Catmail.
still up there.
Got it.
This is Commander Sarah Briggs of the Marauder Corps, Militia SRF.
No U Infinity squared is
Commander
still
Briggs,
infinity.
This is BT-7274. Protocol 2. Uphold the mission. Report intel to the fleet attached to the SRS unit.
Solid copy. Good to hear you guys are still down there. We're receiving your data now. BT-7274. Your data recorder says your original pilot was KIA.
Correct. Captain Ty Lastimosa was killed in action. I am now linked to an acting pilot, Rifleman Jack Cooper.
Wait a minute. Lastimosa linked you to a rifleman?
Yes, he had no other options.
Understood. We'll get you transferred to a fully qualified pilot.
Objection. Cooper is my pilot. Our combat effectiveness rating now exceeds 90%. Request permission to retain this link.
You're lucky our backs are up against the wall, BT. Permission granted. That's high praise coming from a machine, Cooper. Thanks to your scan data of the Ark, we've tracked its energy signature to an IMC base right here on Typhon.
Alright, so now we're on to Trial by Fire, which is really the only level of its kind in the game. Trial by Fire is a level that's, I guess, not in all helmets, but it's based nearly entirely around Titan combat and Titan movement. So it's very unique in that way. We don't have another level that's quite like that. The helmets on this level are... These are... So this level is kind of like any percent with a couple detours. The helmets are neat, but this is largely focused around... Still focused around the Titan gameplay. There's a couple routing changes, too, to account for the... to account for the helmets as well.
Listen up.
The developer code for this level is T-Day, as in Titan D-Day. And you'll see why when the level starts here.
Power source, the Ark. It is inoperable. Your mission is to capture the Ark before it can leave the airbase. Marauder Corps, weapons hot. Stand by for Titanfall.
So we're going to swap to Ronin here. And Ronin is cool because they have an ability called Sword Block. And Sword Block blocks 75% of all incoming damage. And instead of waiting behind cover for the militia to take down this gun turret wall, we can actually walk straight into it.
Unless we take out those cannons, we're not getting any closer.
We're going to walk through the part of the wall that they destroy. And that's going to allow us to get behind the Titans as they come in. So there's 3 different waves of Titans, and I have to kill a certain amount of enemies from each wave. And that's going to allow us to progress to the next segment. And so anytime I'm doing damage to Titans, I'm building core. And what killed me? I was full HP. I don't know what killed me. Can I get a clip on that? I actually don't know what killed me. I've never seen that before. I'm really, really confused. Okay, well, we'll try this again. So as I was saying, anytime I'm doing damage, I'm building core. And so a lot of this routing is based around rebuilding core as quickly as possible. We're also using Scorch a lot because of his high DPS. There's our next set of core here. Nice. I think the next set of Titans just dropped. I'm trying to find them though. I'm not sure where they spawned. I got really thrown off by that death. That's never happened like that. Now we're waiting for Sarah to say, pilot, you're with me. There it is. Okay, so now we're going to swap to Ronin. Gonna swipe this guy. Then swipe this guy. Now we're not gonna do disembark jump. We're just gonna jump out of BT here. Whoops. There it is. Okay. Grab the wall. Get back to BT. Sarah's in a good spot too. That's good. Now this next segment is basically an escort mission for Sarah here.
BT, Pilot Cooper, you're with me. Let's go. Watch out, IMC Titans up ahead.
And I'm gonna build up core again right here, and I want this guy to punch me. Sometimes he'll punch you and then like send you down the other direction, but it didn't quite work out that way.
Got to get to that ship before it takes off. Take those Titans out, Pilot. Move it, Pilot.
Right now we're gonna let ourselves reload here. Normally you can reach this guy. There we go. Okay, cool. So now once we kill those two, the last helmet is down here. I'm gonna do what's called a disembark boost from BT, where if I'm holding crouch when I disembark, it'll give me a speed boost. Please let me through. Cool. Oh, okay, now Sarah's here. Now the movement through here is just really, really tough, and I almost never hit it correctly, so oh well. Now one more helmet left after this, and normally we would sword core at the top of this elevator, but instead we're gonna delay it for just a sec, because we have to disembark for the helmet.
Well, you're doing a good job, Cooper. As far as I'm concerned, you've earned your pilot certification.
So we're gonna grab North Star, which we'll need later on, just for some optimal menuing.
There she is. We still have time to intercept the Ark.
We're gonna do another disembark boost here, and then double jump, and then just ride this around, and we're back in BT. And I'm gonna instant sword core as soon as I get in him. Please stay out of the way. Oh, dude, move! Move! That's so unlucky, man. Oh goodness me. Okay. Okay, so now, once we get over here, we're gonna sword core again, or rather, we're gonna build core again. We're gonna line up an arc wave to hit both these guys, and then just shoot them both a few times. And there's our sword core.
Keep moving. We're closing on the Draconis. Keep going.
And the rest of this is just kind of cheese. We're just cheesing out the level by just dashing through everything.
Get on the Draconis.
Welcome to your view.
The Draconis is almost fueled. Move, move! They're escorted here. We don't have much time.
Final launch checks complete. All systems go.
Don't let them get away.
And if we phase dash into that cutscene, normally we wouldn't have enough time to phase dash again afterward, but the game just refills it for us. Pretty nice.
See you soon.
And we are out of Trial by Fire. That was honestly, like, it was pretty solid aside from that death that I had. I've never died like that. Normally after your HP bar runs out, you have like a final one that's still like an entire bar of health, and it just instantly disappeared. So I really don't know what killed me, but that's never happened like that. So I will have to go back and review that footage later. So now we have the Ark, and this level is extremely difficult in any percent, and naturally it's only harder in all helmets. There are 3 helmets on this level, and they're all in these really awkward locations that don't really have any fluidity around them. This segment is actually on rails, so nothing we can do can advance it faster. But this level is mostly known for the really, really difficult skip that occurs at the beginning of it, called Barker Skip. So Barker Skip is a jump from one moving ship to another. And because these ships are moving up and down, there can be a little bit of variance with the jump that you get based on the momentum that you get from them. And the only way to counteract all this randomness is with a perfect frag boost. So if you get a perfect frag boost, you only have about a 2% chance not to make it.
Just burn past it. We have to catch the Draconis.
I got an unidentified bogey at 11 o'clock.
What the hell is that? Anyone
And now we're getting introduced to Viper, who's probably my favorite boss in the game. Definitely the hardest one to fight, but he's like a good anime villain. Just the right blend of edgy and cool. And I threw a grenade before this cutscene started, so that it would fill me up with 4 grenades when the cutscene ends.
Visual clear. I've got the tone.
And if you watch in the top right here, BT's gonna wave at you. Hi, BT. And then he's gonna wave again. Hello. And then he magically appears in front of us.
Barker, nice of you to show up.
You're welcome.
Tron, your comment. All right, so this is a very specific audio cue and a very, very difficult skip.
Cooper, I need a pilot on board the Malta to secure the deck now.
Commander Briggs, this is Blackbird 6-4. We can get him there. PG, we need a fast
This
ball.
looks good. Perfect. Okay, awesome, awesome, awesome. Now I need to. No, don't do me like that. So this is one of the bugs in the Ark.
Battleship Malta at 10 o'clock, guarding the Draconis.
There's a fall timer in this level,
Get past it.
and the game will kill you if you're falling for a certain period of time. And it killed me because the ship was descending and I thought I was falling.
Commander Briggs, this is Blackbird 6-4. We can get him there. PG, we need a fast ball.
Okay, is it going to do it again?
To the 6-4, Coop. Cooper, listen
Okay.
up, we can't take you directly
So
to
now,
the bridge.
I need to time this jump correctly so that I can get to the next helmet, which you can see is that blue glowing ball of light back there.
Contact left.
Cooper,
Nice jump.
cover you from out here, Coop.
There we go. All right, all right. Oh, come on, get me off this wall. Okay. I guess it could be worse. It could be worse. All right, onward. This level is such a mess, man. Such a mess to speedrun.
Working on it. Just
Weird
hang
stuff
on.
like that happens all the
We're en
time.
route to the Malta's main gun battery.
Alright, so now the game wants us to clear these 3 gun batteries, but we only need to clear the last 2. Conveniently enough. Or, I mean, sorry, the last one. The last one, not the last 2. So I'm gonna pull the frag here. Got him. Okay. Got stagger skip. Easy. Nice, dude. That was really, really fast. We're gonna grab the Mastiff here because it'll come in handy later on. Because we have a lot of shooting to do after this. 6-4 came down quickly. That's good. So now the second helmet is inside Sarah's ship here, so I have to slide up here at a very specific angle at the right time to get it.
Good covering fire.
We got your back. Commander Briggs, we'll also need your help.
Copy that, Bear. On my way. The bridge is through that hangar over there. Any ideas?
Nicely done.
Briggs here.
Alright,
What do you
now we
need
have to
me
come
do?
around here and grab this wall,
Close the door and keep her
which sometimes Cooper just doesn't want to do. So I guess we don't grab the wall there.
Through that hangar over there.
I guess now we'll just get on top of Sarah.
Briggs here. What do you need me to do?
Close the door and keep her steady.
So these are 2 really well-placed grenades to clear out this first wave of enemies here.
Follow me.
Nice. Alright, so now this is to the 6-4. Those guys that are helping us out right now are scripted to kill a certain amount of enemies. Or, sorry, a certain set of enemies, so we're trying to kill all the ones they won't normally kill. Throw that fire syringe when these guys spawn. Nice. These guys as they come up the stairs. I got frags, which isn't optimal here, but that's okay. Now I'm gonna move down this hallway because I'm killing these dudes. Cool. That's all of them. Now this final helmet is really unfortunately placed all the way down here.
Come on, Coop. Keep up.
They're gonna tell me to go fast, but really they're taking their sweet time as well, so I don't have to go too fast here. There's like some different routing you can do to get up these stairs faster, but this ship is rotating back and forth randomly. So it's a lot easier just to take the stairs like that.
Hold your fire. It's bulletproof. We're gonna breach a glass. Take your marks. Guy by the stairs.
Tango on the mezzanine.
So this is your typical breach and clear segment that's in every military FPS. They use the same model for these breach charges as they do for the tether traps that some Titans have. And you don't actually have to do anything, you just run through it.
Clear? Clear. That's how it's done.
Now you're going to use the most convenient plot device of all time and stab your knife that also hacks things into this ship, and then control the ship with the knife. Don't worry about it.
Cooper, you still have control of the bridge. Use your data knife to steer yourself right behind the Draconis. Barker, get BT back to Cooper.
You got it. On my way. Hold on, Tin Man.
So we have to position the ship right behind the other ship for some reason. There we go, got it.
Here's your Titan, Cooper. I'm done, baby.
And now because we did Barker skip earlier, BT was waiting to throw us, and the hitbox for him to throw us is actually still on his hand, so we have to stand away from the wall, otherwise the game crashes to menu.
Ready to transfer control to pilot.
There we go.
Cooper
Alright.
will cover you from the
So here comes Viper Fight. This is probably the most technically difficult fight in the game.
Voodoo 1, Viper
there's going to be 2 Scorches that we have to kill, and then also Viper later on. And Viper does a lot of really nasty things and has these tether traps that'll lock us in place, so we got to be careful. So we're going to use this Missile Barrage on both these Scorches. Switch to Tone here. Now I'm trying to bait out their Flame Shield, which is going to block all my incoming damage. Good. I wonder if I can punch this guy off. Got him. Okay. That was actually perfect. Wait, I gotta do this still. Almost got the 3-piece. That was one of the best Viper fights I've ever had. Wow.
This is BT-7274.
Okay. So, yeah, killing that Scorch like that, when you punch him off, is completely something you have to kind of react to. But because I had a missile lock on that Scorch, I got a second missile lock on the other Scorch and was able to use the missile lock on the dead Scorch and the missile lock on Scorch on that Scorch, which killed him instantly. That was by far one of the best Viper fights I've ever had, if not the best. This segment right here is really, really cool. Shoutouts to Screams, my favorite subtitle there. It's really well choreographed, and it's very fun to watch. It's very visceral, very violent. So now, Viper's hatch is going to become exposed.
I've lost the hatch. Need cover, need cover.
There we go. Normally I want to kill him in one shot, but that's fine too.
BT, what's the plan?
We must uphold the mission.
Another thumbs up from BT.
This ship is rapidly losing altitude. It is up to us, Cooper.
Hi, Pappy. And the rest of this is an auto-scroller, so we definitely have more time for donations here.
We are approaching the Ark's containment unit. The containment unit is too large to carry. We must improvise. I cannot reach the Ark. Cooper, I need your help. Quickly, we need to get off the ship. We are running out of time. This way, Cooper.
This is one of the only parts of the game where it's actually faster to use both dialogue options rather than none of them.
What are you doing?
Protocol 3.
Get the Ark out of here.
Negative. We are trapped. I will not lose another pilot. Brace for impact.
And it looks like a 125 will still be possible after this level. And a 125 is definitely my goal. My average in this category is a 125.56. And so now what happens in this loading screen, or what's implied, I should say, is that the ship crash lands and we are captured by the Apex Predators.
Problems are not my concern. Once you have delivered the Ark as per your
BT has the power source for the Ark, which is I guess I never explained the plot on Affecting Cause Chapter 3. Did I? So what we learned is that the IMC are building a super weapon that folds space and time, and they're going to use it to destroy the militia, Planet of Harmony. And so the power source for it is the Ark, which BT has contained inside of him there, and they're trying to get it out of him right now.
Listen, hero. You have what's mine, and I want it back. Go on. Tell your Titan to open up.
About what? His feelings?
I love Blisk's voice acting here. Shout out to JB Blanc, Blisk's voice actor. Very nice. Very good stuff.
So tell your Titan.
Based on the main antagonist in District 9. Need to watch that movie again.
Pilot in jeopardy. Ocular systems. Marginal. Cannot visually acquire pilot.
Certainly some time for donations here, though.
Do you see him now? Right here, right here. Yeah? You see him now?
Functions compromised by severe
I
crash
don't
damage.
care how broken you are. I know deep down, some things still work in there. Now open up, and I'm going to shoot your pilot in the head. You still remember numbers, don't you? I'm going to count to 3.
1, 2, 3. Nah, that wasn't so hard, was it? That's the problem.
Watch
with
Blisk's
teams.
model at
You
this
don't
next
win
segment here. He's
together,
going to do a little twirl, and he's
die
going to sink
together.
into the floor here. And then boop, into the floor. So what I like imagining in this next segment is he's like sitting below the grates, like yelling up at everybody. There's a lot of flashing lights in this segment here, so heads up.
Nice try, love. Say goodnight.
All right, get the ark out of here. We're running out of time.
So there's a really cool strat here that was found by Flotza, where if you walk backwards into the fire here and then walk forward, for some reason you skip like 6 seconds of having to wait for BT to talk to you here. It's pretty neat. There he is.
Over here.
So now BT is going to rip off his face. And within his face is the Seer Kit, or the Survive, Evade, Resist, Escape Kit, S-E-R-E. Got some pretty cool stuff contained within it for our survival here. So we have the Smart Pistol, which is a literal aimbot pistol. That is in the multiplayer for some reason. And then the Data Knife, which is that super convenient plot device that we had before. And if you look down on our chest here, thanks to our increased FOV, you can actually see that we already have the knife. But he puts the knife back there anyway. And then we have BT's data core, which contains all of his AI. So this segment, we only have one jump, and it's pretty difficult because we have to climb up some stairs. So if I can time my jumps correctly, I won't lose too much speed going up the stairs, but generally speaking, doing this segment optimally is really tough. That was pretty good. Oh, I bonked though, which is too bad. Now we have our jump back finally. Thematically, this part of the game's pretty sick though. You just watch BT die, and then you come through with the Smart Pistol and just shred everyone. Good, really good tap strafe there. So the first helmet in this level is one of my least favorite in the entire game, but the next two are extremely technical and really fun. Whoops, didn't mean to do that, that's fine. I'm gonna go for a little edge boost right here. Whoops, there we go. A little sloppy through here, that's okay. These wall kicks are pretty tough too. There we go. I think I missed the last one, but that's okay. So this first helmet is annoying because you're trying to like climb straight up this like curved pipe, but the game is really finicky about when it considers you like grabbing the wall and not grabbing the wall here. There we go. Okay, this went pretty well. That went about as well as it could. Normally getting up to that point is really, really annoying. So now here is another Titan that we're going to install BT's data core in. And instead of waiting for this dialogue here, if we walk behind BT, we actually skip having to wait for this dialogue.
Hello, Jack.
There it is. Now we're going to swap. Oh, I did have Legion out. Okay. I didn't think I had Legion equipped. Okay, now we're going to swap to Tone. And we're going to work on building core here. So once we build core, we're going to sword core through the rest of the segment. And that gives me an opportunity to talk once again about door skip, which is a super important skip to this game. That was that took a lot of RNG out of the run. This last segment of the game used to be super random because there was a fight that you had to clear all these Titans out to get this door to open, but there was a random event where a Titan can walk backwards into the door. And thanks to the efforts of an angry albino and Enderon, and more recently Gliding Shadow, we actually found that you can fly through the door, which is pretty sick. It's a huge time save too. So now, but the second helmet is in this segment here too, so I'm going to fly through, swap back to Ronin, and I need to stay on top of this little yellow railing that you see here, so that I can boost up to this part here, which I got. Now we're going to go for a disembark jump. Got the disembark jump, and that takes us up to the helmet. That strat is really hard and really technical, it's just due to having to stay on top of that rail, but we got it. Now we're on to the third helmet, which is equally as technical. Just because the route there, this helmet is super out of the way. It's really, really out of the way, so the route there is really technical. We'll do an edge boost here. Go off this, and then a tap strafe around to grab this wall. And then a quick double jump, and then a fast mantle to get up here. Same thing here. Now here's the helmet. And then the return route, we have to be really careful. This route could be a little bit faster, but we can soft lock the game if we're not careful, so we have to take that kind of shorter route. And I don't think this is going to be a 125, it'll probably be a low 126 though. And so now we have all of the helmets. All of the helmets have been collected. Now all we have left to do is fight Sloan and do one of the coolest skips in any game I've seen. So Sloan fight is again based largely around core charge and spawn manipulation. So there's a lot of things that we're kind of managing all at once in this fight. First things first, so we're going to try and hopefully we only have one shot left, that's fine. So I'm going to swap to Scorch. And once Sloan reaches a certain health limit, she's going to teleport away. Now we're going to core both of these guys. Nice. Now if we look here, it forces Sloan to spawn here. Now we're going to drop another flame trap. Swap to Tone. That works. Thanks for the boost. These Reapers always spawn here no matter what, but the reason we want to get over here quickly is because if we're not over here when they spawn, they'll start running around. Okay, so here we go. Now after I get core here, I'm going to have to keep it for a really, really cool glitch. So here's the final phase. She's invincible for the first part of this phase, so you have to wait quite a long time. Now we're going to swap to Ronin. Okay, so if you sword core, if you activate sword core and then instantly pull the arc injector, a really, really, really cool thing happens. This is a iconic skip in this game. So, if you do sword core going into the segment, you're not supposed to have a gun out here. But for some reason you do. And so this is going to carry over once BT charges back up too. And Blisk is about to get out of his Titan and do his little evil final monologue here. But we have a gun out. And unlike that cutscene with Richter earlier, Blisk isn't invincible. So he's going to say, "It's your lucky day, hero." And then he just dies. So, this never gets old, dude. I could watch this a million times. He's dead. Apex Legends has been cancelled. It's non-canon. You're welcome. And so the game will still play out the cutscene normally, but like without Blisk there. And so after you kill Blisk, the game advances. It skips all of his dialogue and starts advancing the cutscene for some reason. So this saves 33 seconds. This was found by Reddit user Shot Andy. He randomly posted to r/Titanfall one time and was like, "Hey guys, I found a way to kill Blisk, but I don't have video footage, but here's how you do it." And then somebody in my stream alerted me of it, so I looked at it. I was like, "Oh cool, I'll try it." And then when I tried it out, we found out that the skip works, so we call that skip the Andy shot in reference to him.
I'm sending you coordinates for a dropship rendezvous.
And also VT has forearms.
Trust me, I have done the math.
I sure as hell hope so. We're on our way. Good luck, both of you. Briggs out.
And this is the final part of the game. BT's gonna throw himself into the fold weapon to blow it up and save everybody. And then we'll be doing the final run.
My analysis indicates a throw is our only option here. Calculating. Protocol 3. Protect the pilot. Goodbye, Jack.
Goodbye, BT. Alright, and here we go. This is the final segment of the game. This segment is really tricky due to all the moving parts here. It's really hard. Even this wall kick right here, very difficult. Because the platform is moving in, you can jump off the wall but like still hit it. This is probably the hardest part of this segment right here. There we go. Perfect. Now we're gonna go for a swag strat here. And time. Nice. Beautiful. Now let's check the final time on this. This was a 1:26:03. 1:26:03, which was just 7.5 seconds off my average of a 1:25:56. Really good for a no reset run. Only about, what, like a minute and a half off my world record? Pretty good run, dude. So, GDQ staff, thank you so much for watching this. I appreciate all the work that you guys do into doing these submissions. I'm sure it's no small task. I hope to see you guys at GDQx. All Helmets is a really cool category that has gotten a huge facelift in this past year. Or a huge facelift in this last year, and I think it's really deserving of a spot there. So, yeah, thank you for watching. I'm Brian Otto. Hopefully I'll see you guys at TwitchCon. Thanks so much for having me.